Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services, Talking Business. Our interview series talking with leaders in the field of digital marketing, banking, insurance, customer service, and business education. And I'll highlight our team at CBSI. We're based in Harrison, New York. We provide insurance-based benefit programs to the credit card and payments industry. And today we have a leader in the field of business education, right here from Iona College, the new dean of the LaPenta School of Business at Iona, and that is Dr. Lynne Richardson. Dr. Richardson, how are you today?
Doing great, Ken. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today.
Well, it's a pleasure. I'm a graduate of the Iona MBA program from the 1980s. Our chief operating officer, Jar Garofalo, is a graduate of both undergrad and MBA at Iona. Lisa Minelli, Kate Collins from our senior staff are both have Iona degrees. So a lot of affiliation for your school. What's it been like to move? You spent most of your career in the South, and now to move up to a business school in the New York area.
Well, it's, you know, all business schools are similar, but yet very different. And so moving to New York has been different for me in that I am now living in an apartment for the first time in many, many years. But I have a very short commute because I've learned around here that many people drive long distances to work, but mine is less than a mile. It is, you know, somebody said to me yesterday, you know, it gets cold in New York. And I'm like, you know, I'm a bloom where I'm planted person. I can handle the weather anywhere I live. And so I'm just beginning to get out and explore a little bit the area. So I have that to look forward to maybe this fall a little bit more. But right now I'm sticking a little close to home as I'm trying to kind of learn my institution, learn my business school, and learn kind of my job here. Because as I told my colleagues when I first arrived, I said, I know how to be a business dean. That's the good news because I've done that for a long time. The bad news is I don't know how to be a business dean at Iona College. So I've got to kind of figure out the rules here, and we'll figure it out in short versus long time.
Well, that's great. Welcome. First, tell us a little bit about your family and where you're from. I know you went to college in Alabama and have a Ph.D. from the University of Alabama, Birmingham.
No, just the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. MBA is from UAB. So roll tide. I say roll tide. So I am married to Woody, who is a former, now retired business strategy professor. And he has chosen to live in Alabama on the Gulf Coast. We bought a house, a retirement home there last year. And so we're going to do the commuter thing for a couple of years. I have 3 grown children. A son and 2 daughters who are an advancement employee at the College of William and Mary, a woman, a daughter who works for an NGO in Washington, D.C., and then a daughter who's a CPA who lives in Atlanta. So all are single and happy and off my payroll. So we are happy parents.
Absolutely. Well, Iona is a close-knit school. It's all about family. So welcome. And tell us a little bit about, you know, a PhD from Alabama and then going on to be a dean at 3 schools, Ball State, Mississippi State, a major state university there, Ball State also, and most recently, University of Mary, Washington. Tell us a little bit about those experiences.
Well, so I have a PhD in marketing, and I was a great faculty member, but I always had ideas about making things better in my business school. And as a faculty member, you don't have a lot of power to do that. So I would go to my department chair or my dean, and I would say, hey, here's an idea. Could we do this? And they were like really nice to me, but they'd say, you know, Lynn, that's a good idea, but we're not going to do it. And so finally, mentors of mine, as well as my husband, finally said, you know, you just really need to be the dean so that you can say not only yes to your own ideas, but a lot of faculty who are very smart have great ideas. And so I became an MBA director first, and then an associate dean for undergraduate programs and external relations. And then I felt like it was time to kind of try my hand at becoming a dean. So I became a dean at Ball State first, and found that I was actually pretty good at it, or at least I'm told I was pretty good at it. And we did a lot of cool things while I was there, everything from building advisory boards to renovating a building to starting new programs, both internally in the business school as well as partnering with other organizations or disciplines across campus, et cetera. And at some point, I got to a point where it was like, okay, I've done what I know to do here. And then I was recruited by Mississippi State, and I kind of got stars in my eyes because, you know, Mississippi State is a Research One institution, which is kind of the top of the top in terms of the higher ed world. And so it was close to family. It was about 2.5 hours from my dad, who was still living, and then my in-laws were about 4.5 hours away. So we packed up and moved to Starkville, Mississippi, where I learned that I could be a good dean there too, but I didn't love it. I had attended a school similar size to Iona College as an undergraduate, and when the focus is really mostly on research and not on teaching, it just did not make me happy. And so at some point I was like, okay, I need to be in a place where I can be happy and really sell the program that that I'm representing here to students and alumni and all that. So I was recruited to the University of Mary Washington for a fairly specific purpose. The school was not yet AACSB accredited, which the university's board of visitors, which is like a board of directors at most schools or board of trustees, had kind of mandated, well, we need to be. And because I was very experienced with all of that, I was hired to kind of take them through that process. And so that's what I've been doing mostly in the last 10 years, is getting them accredited. And I got to a point where, okay, I'd done what I knew to do there, and it was time to look for another opportunity. And that's why I'm at Iona College, because I believe in the smaller school teaching mission. I believe in the Catholic mission here, as well as just the size of school. Teaching schools just are what it's like for me. I mean, that's what I believe, that we do higher education the best.
Absolutely. Now about Iona College, it's got a brand new building, the LaPenta School of Business building. We were there. Last time I was in the building was a dedication a year ago, January. A great facility, and you've got both graduate and undergraduate programs. I see in the catalog online. Tell us about the programs and how the new building helps you out.
Well, as you mentioned, you were here like 1 month before we shut down. So we've pretty much been not in the building for the last year and a half. And we're looking forward to welcoming students back in just a couple of weeks. And so that'll be very exciting to have the vibrancy of and the energy level raised when students are back. In terms of programs, we are a fairly traditional business school in that we offer undergraduate degrees in all the traditional business disciplines, accounting, finance, marketing, management, information systems, et cetera. And then we offer an MBA with multiple concentrations. Kind of the newest one there, I guess, is business analytics, which is one of the hotter topics now in higher ed in terms of the business school world. And we also offer a Master of Science in Finance, as well as a Master of Science in Public Accounting. And this is kind of a unique program in that it is focused on a student who graduated from a business school program, but was not an accountant, but has since decided, you know what, I really think I want to be a CPA. And so they come back, they've already had their business core curriculum, the principles of everything that I call it. Everybody takes a little bit of everything as an undergrad in business, but then they come back and really focus on the accounting courses. And when they complete this program, they are ready to sit for the New York CPA exam. So they're certified, they're ready to be certified in New York. So that's kind of our portfolio of programs. And we're really excited, again, like I said, to get back in person. Oh, I should differentiate as well. We have an online MBA, which is a little bit different. Everything's online, which during the COVID crisis looked just like our online classes, but we will have an online MBA this fall as well as face-to-face MBA.
Very good. And what we're all thinking about is how much the pandemic has changed the way we communicate. I mean, we're doing Zoom type interview today. I was at an in-person conference last week in Washington, but we're all looking at what worked during the pandemic that we're going to continue as while we're all trying to get back to doing meetings in person to have better communication. What do you see as some of the aspects that were learned during the pandemic that apply to business education and business in general?
You know, I've thought about this a lot, especially in the early days of the pandemic, and was quite thankful that we had the technologies we have today to be able to continue teaching online, even though it was kind of radical for many faculty who had never taught online. We had to the word everybody kept using was pivot quickly within a couple of days. But I think we effectively did that. Maybe we weren't great in the spring of 20 when we, had to go quickly, but I think then we had that next summer to really kind of think about pedagogy and how we could effectively teach online. So the fact that we've had the opportunity to learn how to maximize the use of technologies that were available, I think it's terrific. And I think going forward in higher ed and in all other organizations, we got to kind of figure out that hybrid or that mix of work. How are we going to expect people to work? And I think that's the hot topic out there today. A lot of organizations are expecting all of their employees to come back into an office. Whereas on the other extreme, we've got organizations, I think LinkedIn just announced that they've told their people you can work from wherever you want to. You never have to come back in the office. And so I think many of us, and I'm one of them, I'm a self-avowed extrovert and I need people around me. Working from home was not my favorite thing to do, but for many people, it's the best thing. I mean, we live in New York now. People have long commutes. Could they work effectively from home? Well, obviously they did, and some studies show that they were even more productive. And so I think that what we're going to be dealing with in the next weeks, months, probably the next couple of years is trying to figure out that kind of balance that's appropriate for every organization, including those of us in higher ed. I mean, many of us, yeah, we can teach online all day long, but I have children, and when they were 18 years old, I didn't really want them sitting in front of a computer all day getting educated. I wanted them to go to college and live on their own and have that social as well as academic experience, because we know learning is much more than just what you get from a classroom. So I think we're all going to be trying to figure out that balance. Some of us in higher ed, if we work in a back office that never sees students, maybe we never had to come to campus. But for most of us who are front facing with students, I think that most parents want us to be in the classroom, at least for schools like Iona College.
Absolutely. And let me ask you, you've spent a good amount of time with the AACSB organization. I guess it once was known as the Association for Accreditation Collegiate Schools of Business. I hope I have that correct. I remember being a graduate student at Iona in the early 1980s, where the dean was a professor, and he said, Iona is going to apply for AACSB, and when we get that, we're going to meet the same standards as Harvard and Stanford. And it took about 15 years, but I remember about 1999 reading the Alumni magazine and seeing Iona had gained that national credential. I think it was the 25th Catholic college to do so. Quite a far-sighted move. Tell us about the impact you could see that having on a school like Iona and the value of AACSB accreditation.
Yeah, I think at the baseline, the value of accreditation, of any type of accreditation, is it's an external quality indicator. So if I'm a 16-year-old student beginning to look at colleges, or I'm a 35-year-old adult working professional who's looking at MBA programs or some type of graduate program, and I don't really know how to evaluate a school other than, whatever their marketing people say, which I'm a marketing person, so I like what marketing people say, but we know it's usually pretty positive about the organization. AACSB provides that external validation to a potential student, whatever their course program level would be, so that they don't have to do as much digging. And so, AACSB is an international organization. There are about 800 and something plus organizations or schools in the world now accredited. It's mission-based, so your point about being similar to Harvard and Stanford, maybe not so much, but because we have our own mission and meet the standards for our mission, then we are equal to Harvard and Stanford. So I think that's the big value. It also, to the world, it just says you've met standards that are high quality standards, and it really takes the pressure off a student looking for programs to know that if I go there, it's got the seal of approval, if you will.
Very good. And one of the areas I want to get back to some of the special programs at Iona that have started up in recent years. Number one, the Jim Hines Institute for Entrepreneurship. Jim Hines had a great career, and so he got a contract and saw fiber optic cable in Europe that propelled a huge business. And now the move with acquiring Concordia College's campus and starting a healthcare administration management program with New York Presbyterian. When you see things like that on the campus you're joining, what does it mean to you as far as some of the opportunities for students?
Well, I certainly the acquisition or merger or whatever we call it with Concordia is very progressive. As we probably all know, higher education is in one of those really competitive environments right now. We know that in 2024-25, the number of 18-year-olds is going to decline precipitously, about 15 to 20% in most parts of the country. So there are not going to be as many students to go to college, the traditional age students to go to college. And so as many schools the business model does not support success and long-term viability, I think that Iona acquiring Concordia was very progressive and in saying, we're going to put our stake in the ground and we're going to start this College of Health Sciences in partnership with New York Presbyterian, which was huge because it lends that, name to the program as well. And we're really going to focus on the health sciences over there. So for business, that will open up opportunities for us in the longer term. I'm told in the shorter term, it's really going to be more about the technical workers, the nurses and occupational therapists and those type of things. But down the road, as we get to know our new partners and figure out what their needs are, I certainly think there are opportunities there with healthcare management, maybe informatics, healthcare informatics, those kinds of things. But we'll be exploring those things in the next couple of years.
Very good. Now, maybe a final question on, I just see, since I was a graduate student, how much technology has entered the field of business. I mean, we didn't have email when I was a graduate student, and barcodes, and something in the paper about the value of QR codes now, and obviously mobile phones has revolutionized everything in communication and online banking. How have MBA programs and business programs in general work to help their students understand the technology tools that they're going to use and manage during their careers?
Now, I think that's specific to each of the disciplines. Accountants would use very different technologies than perhaps those in marketing would use, than perhaps people in finance would use. So when you take, for example, an MBA program, or you enter our MBA program here, you're going to get a little bit of everything in each of those classes, and so you would walk out of the program having knowledge of and awareness of and at least limited skills in each of those areas. And I think, as we look to see, I was talking to a retired CEO of a pretty major accounting firm recently, and he was telling me about how the accounting world is changing because of technologies, and they're trying to put much more analytics into their daily workings. And he said, and really, instead of doing like audits like we do now, we're going to be doing more consulting kinds of things. And he was telling me stories about how they're helping people figure out how to hire, how many people to have on their staff based on what the weather's going to be at a retail store that's the sales are highly correlated with whether it rains or not. And I'm thinking, wow, that's different, right? Because we teach traditional accounting in most business schools, and we're going to have to rethink how we do things using our technologies. So it's an exciting time. I'm certainly not a techie. I'd be the first to admit it, but I have many faculty who are very smart, who are on top of all of this, and they prepare their students for the world that they're going to be facing when they leave us at Iona College.
Very good. And Dr. Lynne Richardson, the new dean of the LaPenta School of Business at Iona College, where I'm very proud to have received an MBA. Good to talk with you. Final thought about about welcoming the students back in a couple of weeks?
Well, like I said, we're getting geared up. We have this beautiful building to now show off that we've had very limited use of in the last 2 years, and we're looking forward to bringing more of the Westchester County business community into our building for interactions with our students, networking opportunities. We have terrific students, so if you have internship opportunities or permanent jobs that you would like to talk to us about, please reach out to me. I would love to connect you to the right people. So thank you very much for this time, Ken. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, Dr. Lynne Richardson, welcome to the Iona community in the New York area. Great to meet you, and look forward to talking more about programs and the expertise available to students at Iona College. And this is Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services, our Talking Business interview series, all to highlight our company based in Harrison with a number of Iona graduates on our team. And we provide insurance-based benefits to the credit card and digital industry. Again, thank you to Dr. Richardson. This is Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services. I'm in my home office in White Plains, New York. Have a great day.